Welcome to Broke Ass to Badass, where heart-led entrepreneurs learn to build the businesses and lives of their dreams with confidence, ease, and joy. This is the anti-hustle movement, and we're your coaches in badassery, Kimi and Pua.
Find out more at bledigital.com, and wherever you're listening to this, be sure to click subscribe so you never miss an episode.
This episode is day 3 of our 5-day Productivity for Badass Entrepreneurs Challenge, happening right now in our tribe on Facebook. If you want to join us there, you can go to bledigital.com/tribe to follow along with us this week and also grab the worksheet for this challenge. Today's training is all about guarding your time like a boss. We dig into the Eisenhower Decision Matrix and how you can use this to really create more time and energy and all around fulfillment in your life. Enjoy, guys. Here we are back again with our tech working. Thank goodness. Hooray, hooray. Okay. We'll give everybody a couple minutes here to get on. And we'll get started in just a second. How's everybody doing? Okay, so today is day 3 of our Productivity for Badass Entrepreneurs Challenge. You guys are killing it. Oh my God. Everybody was so good about doing their homework last night. So awesome job. And we will definitely be pulling the name at the end of this. And that's so we're pulling the name for whoever got their homework in for day 2. Okay, so today we are talking about guarding your time like a boss. And we're going to be digging into the Eisenhower Decision Matrix and helping you guys to, when you did your time and energy log from day 1, you saw that there were some columns there, and we alluded to the fact that it had to do with the Eisenhower Decision Matrix. So that's what we're going to dig into deeper today, and you guys are going to, this is like one of our favorite trainings ever. So let's do it.
There's like too much tech. We need...
like, where are you?
Stall.
Okay, so
a lot of different
jokes. Oh, okay. Are you looking for the thing? Okay, so today's going to be a little bit different, guys. Not super different, but just in the format of today. So while you guys have your worksheets, we definitely want you to pull out your worksheets and follow along. But first, we're going to go over the whole concept of the Eisenhower Decision Matrix. And then we're going to go into our point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4 ways to guard your time like a boss. So this one is like, you might want to go back and listen to this one a couple times. You might want to, if you're in a place where you can really focus and take some notes, this is going to help you. And we actually are going to ask you to, if you're listening to this in the audio format, we're going to have you like draw out a decision matrix. And so there's actually going to be some things that you're going to need to be doing with your hands. So if you're able to really dedicate some time to this, because again, this is one of those trainings that is going to create so much time for you. It takes a little bit of an investment of time to learn this strategy and to, become aware about the difference between urgency, importance, not urgency, versus not urgent, important versus not urgent, but the impact that can have on the way that you make decisions in your life, the way that you, again, guard your time, the way that you create your day is like, this is one of our favorite, most impactful trainings that we do. So are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, Jer wants us to add someone to, okay, keep stalling. I'm on it, Jer.
Okay, so So we would love to hear from you guys, and we definitely want to make this super interactive as it has been. So as you guys are watching I guess if you're watching this, if you're listening to this on the podcast, definitely take a screenshot of this, post it on your stories, send us some DMs. We've gotten some great DMs on Instagram. By the way, Instagram is at brokeass2badass. Follow us there. We love hearing from you guys. We love answering your questions. And so, yeah, if you're catching this live or even in the replay, drop your comments in there, drop your questions. We just love seeing you engaged, having fun, implementing all the things. So we are here to support you guys through every step of this challenge. Okay.
Now we're ready.
Okay. All right. Let's dig into day number 3, guarding your time like a boss.
This is my favorite. I love the decision matrix. We don't really teach this too much anymore. It's so fun. Okay. Oh God. This is so cool. The decision matrix background is like my background. So I thought I was already sharing my screen. Awesome. So I was listening to our recording on the podcast yesterday, and I realized that I need to just calm down and stop getting so damn excited because it's very hard to follow what I say. So deep breath.
It's probably because you have your podcast settings like set to talk even faster than normal.
Oh yeah. And then we're like talking super fast, and it's just like, yeah.
Okay. I love the pace at which you talk, by the way. And I just want to say this because I don't ever want you to dim your enthusiasm. From the second that I met you, your enthusiasm and excitability is, like, to me, one of my most favorite traits about you ever, and one of the most endearing and attractive traits. So please do not slow down and do not settle down.
Oh, thanks. That's really why I said it. I wanted that. I'm just kidding. Thank you. Ditto, by the way. I don't know where we were. Okay, can you guys see this? Can you guys see my decision matrix? And then I'm also curious, can you guys see when I'm switching back and forth between Facebook and Keynote, or are you guys just seeing the decision matrix slide? I know there's a delay, so this is
we're just seeing the Keynote because it's for me too.
Okay, good, because you can't see that I'm like texting on my friends. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so guys, this is the Best Life Ever BLE Digital Kimi and Pua version of the Eisenhower Decision Matrix. Jared's like, I see both. Jared, you see my Facebook? It would be like Inception. You'd see like a screen and a screen and a screen and a screen.
Maybe she means she can see your face too. She could probably see your face.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, awesome. Okay, so the Eisenhower Decision Matrix is a thing that, like, Eisenhower, like the real Eisenhower guy, actually created in war times to prioritize things that were like life and death. Because when you are in a leadership position during a thing like war, Latoya, we're live. I will give you a storm check in 1 hour. So
that's our other job is our resident storm watcher.
Oh my God. It's so crazy. Sorry, this podcast is going to be a nightmare. So when you are in a leadership position in something like war, where people's lives are in your hands, essentially, it's so important to know your priorities and prioritize things properly. And so what Eisenhower did was he divided his tasks and divided basically everything in his day-to-day life by their importance, their urgency, or lack thereof. So he created this matrix, and we use this to teach productivity, but it's useful in all aspects of life. So I'm going to try to go through, this is just like old times. So fun. Okay. So I don't remember who used to do what, but I'm just going to go. There's like one that you do really well. I don't know. Wait, you
just
go first.
Start with fires.
Okay, so if you are listening on the podcast, God dang it, I'm so sorry. If you're listening on the podcast, you're going to want to draw yourself a T, like a cross. Okay, so you're going to just draw a vertical and a horizontal axis. On the top, right in the middle of that, the north axis, write important. On the left, urgent. On the bottom, not important. On the right, not urgent. Okay, so we're going to walk you through each of these quadrants one at a time. So the important and urgent quadrant is what we call the fires. Any task that falls under this quadrant is something that typically is not ordinary, usually, hopefully, and it's something that when it comes up, it has to be taken care of right away, usually by you. Okay, so this includes things like if you have kids and they're at school and the school nurse calls and they say that your child is sick and you have to come pick them up, you pretty much have to drop everything that you're doing and go and pick up your child, right? Or if you are the go-to person in your office for a specific thing and people are coming to you, you can't really control sometimes that process, right? Unless you are able to identify this as a pattern and put processes and systems in place to shift it so that it is no longer that emergent fire that happens over and over and over and over. We're going to dig into solutions for these and stuff today, but we just want to describe this matrix to you.
You know what falls in this quadrant? Hurricanes. Right? So like unpredictable things that we weren't expecting that maybe pull you away from your like usual activities. So also as you're following along with this, keep in mind that you can refer back to your time log as well and begin now with this deeper understanding of the difference between each of these quadrants, begin to classify each of the things that you're writing in your time log that we gave you so that now you're seeing how they kind of connect together here. So, okay, so moving on to the quadrant below the fires. So this is what is urgent but not important. Urgent but not important. And this is so interesting in this day and age because this is also really what feels urgent, right? Like so many things in this day and age feel urgent because of how connected we are, right? We have email notifications. We have like email popping into your inbox, somebody needing something else, other people's priorities, phone calls that come, things that are happening that have this sense of urgency, like they need to be taken care of right now. They seem to be on a rise, right? Especially if we don't have things like do not disturb or boundaries set up. And again, we'll talk about this a little bit later. But so these are things that feel urgent. They're also the things that need to get done for your business, but they don't necessarily need to be done by you. So these are what we call low level tasks, right? So they are things that you could outsource to somebody else, that somebody else could do. It doesn't always have to be you that's doing them, but often it is, right? If we're feeling really busy. So you can know that you're spending a disproportionate amount of time in this quadrant if you're constantly saying things like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy, I'm so overwhelmed. And especially if we have that sense of like, I am so busy, but I don't feel like I'm getting anything done. Like, what is that, right? And so it's usually because we have a lot of these low-level tasks that are consuming a lot of our time. So these could be things, again, like email, like your social media, things that are like data entry. It really just depends. The one great way to think about it that I've heard is whatever could be done to 80% of satisfaction and you'd be okay with it, it probably falls in this quadrant, something like that, right? So it's like I think about folding laundry. That's a low-level task. Like my kids can fold my laundry for me. They might not do it exactly the way that I want it, but it definitely doesn't have to be done by me if I can let go some of the control, right? Okay, so that's low-level tasks. Again, these are the things that are urgent, but they're not necessarily so important that they have to be done by you.
And this is where we hide, guys. People hide in low-level tasks their entire lives, right? If you think about so when I worked, I won't say where, but I loved to act busy, and low-level tasks was the place that I did that. And I would pretend that I was stressed out, and I would pretend that I had like so much to do and so little time, and I'm the only one that can do it, and blah, 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 blah. When I really, I just didn't want to take the time to look at the patterns, look at what I needed to do, right? People hide in low-level tasks. So if you have a team, if you are in any sort of organization, and I'm not saying call people out, I'm not saying to embarrass people, being like, you're hiding, low-level task, get out here, right? Like, just use it to create awareness. That's all this is. The other thing to say about this entire process in general, nothing is this cut and dry, right? There's not going to be anything that's like, well, I think this is a fire, but I think it's a low-level task. Which one is it? It can be both, okay? So just use this again to create awareness around the way that you spend your time and the way that you prioritize the things that you're doing every day. Okay, so the other place that we like to hide is in the lower right quadrant, not important and not urgent. So if you guys Google the Eisenhower Decision Matrix, you'll find productivity experts all over the world are teaching on this. What they often will say in delights and distractions, or actually they don't call it that, like in the not important and not urgent is usually the quadrant where they say to dump all of these things and don't ever do them. And these are the things that kind of distract us, right? The things that don't tend to feel like they're moving anything forward. It doesn't feel like we're being super productive when we're living in this quadrant. We renamed this because there is a time and a place for things that are delightful, that are joyful, that bring ease to your life. Things that aren't productive at all in a business sense, but are productive to refill your energy, refill your cup, to relax, right? Things that fall under this quadrant are watching a movie, binging on Netflix, going on Facebook, Instagram. Like, these are all distractions if you look at it that way. Or they could be things that allow you to re-energize, allow you to refocus, right? So just be careful. The thing that the fine line in a delight or a distraction is the amount of time that you spend doing this activity, right? So if in the middle of the day you want to take a little break and go outside and, I don't know, play on your phone, do it. It's awesome. That's totally fine. If you're out there for, half an hour even. But if you're out there for 6 hours playing Fortnite on your phone, I'm just pretending to know what that is because I think it's cool. Then, then it becomes a distraction. It then detracts from the progress of your business and your life. So again, like, no judgment here. I feel like every time that we are in this quadrant, at least for myself, I'm like, oh, what should I be doing right now? Judge. Let it go. Know that this is essential to the growth of your personal and professional life. Yeah?
Yep. Yeah. And the thing about this quadrant too is that if you find yourself spending a lot of time in fires and low-level tasks, we tend to crave more of that not urgent, not important, just like, I just want to numb out. I just want to not think, because we're so burnt out that we feel like we just can't even tap into anything. So that's it's another place where, as you said, we kind of hide, or at least try to soothe ourselves. And the reason I feel that we sort of reframe this for people was because it is a hard jump sometimes for people to classify going on Facebook for a few minutes to decompress as self-care, which is what we're going to get to in the next quadrant. And so in order to bridge that gap, not making this like the quadrant where you have to delete everything out of your life if it's not productive, was important to us. But certainly also, if you think about this again, if we go back to Dwight Eisenhower and in World War II, it's if you're in a war, don't go on Facebook, right? If you could understand why that would be the quadrant of, in times of intensity, or maybe launch week or something, this is the first place that you would go in order to clear things off of your table, or at least delay them, not focus on those things right now because they lack urgency and they lack importance. Okay, so here we go. Top right, important but not urgent. So this is the sweet spot, guys. This is where the magic happens. This is really the quadrant that the more time we spend in this quadrant, the more fulfilled we feel, the more a badass we feel, and the more calm, focused, and really purposely productive that we feel. And so what are some of these things that fall in this quadrant of important but not urgent? A really great example is exercise, right? Exercise, as we all know, it's important for your body. We talked about this a lot yesterday, right? Just moving your body as a way to show up as your best self. The thing that gets tricky about it is it's not urgent, right? And so we tend to not prioritize the things that lack urgency. But this is where we get into a vicious cycle of backburnering our self-care and what is most important to us. And so other things could be weekly planning, taking a step back from your business to do a big visioning, to create some strategies, create standard operating procedures, right? Any type of that like deep creative planning that requires you take a step back. And again, really, let it sink in that the lack of urgency is the problem here in terms of why we tend to not prioritize this. And what happens is, and we'll get into this in a bit, is that because of that lack of urgency, we don't prioritize what's important until it becomes a fire, right? So it's important, and now it's really important and urgent. So to take that fitness example, all of a sudden you feel so much like crap that it is a fire, right? You feel sick, you have some type of health crisis in which you're like, okay, now I understand the value of it, and it's become an urgent thing for you. So Tony Robbins, right? Professional development guru, says that he believes that people that live the most fulfilled and happy lives spend 80% or more of their time in this quadrant. And I'll say that Tony says that he spends something like 90 to more time in this quadrant, which actually at this point I believe in his life. But so just keep that in mind. And again, if you're spending a lot of time in the fires, you probably feel really stressed. If you feel spending a lot of time in lower level tasks, you're probably feeling really overwhelmed and busy. If you're spending a lot of time in delights and distractions, you probably feel like you're not making progress, like you're a little bit numbed out, checked out. And if you're spending the most amount of time in the sweet spot, you're feeling the most fulfilled, you're feeling the most energized, and you're feeling like you have the most time and energy to work with possible. Yeah.
So distracted. This chat is so freaking nuts.
Pua is in the bottom right quadrant right now.
No, this is sweet spot. What are you talking about? This is like pure sweet spot. Awesome. Okay. So fill in the blanks?
Yes. Fill in the blanks.
Oh, we kind of talked about this. Okay, so fill in the blank point number 1. If you guys don't have your worksheets out, grab them. We have 4 points to fill in. And then fill in the blank number 1. Let's see, can I do the 2 things at once? I think I can. Do you guys need to continue to see this? You drew this out, right? So I'm going to stop this guy. Did I stop? Are you guys still seeing?
Yes. Okay, we see you now.
Okay, perfs. Okay, point number 1. If you're dealing with a lot of fires, sweet spot time can help you to create systems to avoid future fires. That is point number 1. Everything I just said. It's in the chat. I'll say it again. If you're dealing with a lot of fires, sweet spot time can help you to create systems to avoid future fires. Okay, so the trick here, guys, is time in the sweet spot. It can feel like you don't have the time to create the time to spend in the sweet spot. And you're like, I get what you're saying, but it doesn't exist because I'm here and I'm so busy. How am I going to put aside time to do all this other stuff that is supposed to move my life and my business forward when I'm so busy putting out fires, low-level tasks, blah, 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 right? So here's how to solve that. Wake up at 4 a.m. for a couple of days, do your planning, create the time. That, like, you don't have to wake up at 4. But what we're saying is, for a temporary amount of time, stay up late, get up early, work on your lunch break, whatever you need to do to start to not only create this awareness, but also start to put systems and brainstorm processes that can help you to shift out of these patterns. This is all about patterns, okay? This is a game, and the game is find as many patterns as you can and systemize them. Systemize. You know what I mean, okay? So yes, miracle mornings. So this is so key. And again, we're going to take you all the way back to day 1. This is about tracking. You need to track how you are spending your time, track your energy levels so that you can, and this is in the tracker. Now the whole tracker makes sense. You can see, how are you spending your time? What do you do? Where do each of those tasks fall in this quadrant? From there, how many fires do you put out every day? Is there any sort of pattern? And a lot of times here, people will say, oh, my fires are always unique. They never repeat themselves. And once they go through a week or 2 of tracking, they realize that things do repeat themselves. They just don't repeat them every day. So it doesn't feel like repetition, right? So if things happen more than once, there is probably a system or a process that you can invent even and put into place to eliminate that, or at least like decrease it significantly. This is going to change everything. The less time you can spend in that left side of this quadrant, the more time you get to spend on the right side, both in the sweet spot, because that requires big chunks of like just solid time, no distractions, right? And you get to spend more time doing what you love in the bottom right. Does that make sense, guys? It sounds too easy to be true, and it also sounds too hard to do. I get that. But just it takes a little bit of intention, just a little bit of planning.
I always think back to like a great example of fires is when somebody is the front facing person of a business, right? So they're the ones that are constantly like having to deal with, especially like if you're dealing with fires, often it's other people's fires, right? So it's like you're the go-to person. And so you're constantly getting pulled out of your flow of work. And that is what can be really, really frustrating if you're spending the most amount of time in this quadrant, because studies have shown that if you are pulled out of deep work, it takes your brain like 5 to 20 minutes to get back in the flow. It's like if you think about you're driving on a freeway and you get off the freeway, and then to come back on, like all that time that you've lost. And so, some things that you could do are so simple, right? It could be like, can you close your door? Can you use some sweet spot time to carve out deep work time, as Pua said, on your calendar, so that you can at least guarantee that you have some of these pockets of time to avoid. So, some people's professions or whatever it is that you do, the nature of your job, there might be some fires, right? And also there's going to be things that are unpredictable. So don't be afraid of fires. Like a life without fires is probably not that exciting either. It's just about how are you going to manage those fires, and are you feeling, how are you managing the fires in your life? Okay, so point number 2, if you are overwhelmed with low-level tasks, sweet spot time can help you to set up support, outsourcing, and automation. Okay, so this one, again, I'll say that again because that's kind of I don't know who wrote this. Just kidding. If you are overwhelmed with low-level tasks, sweet spot time can help you set up support, outsourcing, and automation. Okay, so this is where we get into, again, going back to those low-level tasks, the things that need to get done, but don't necessarily need to get done by you. The things that, they're still there. They're a natural part of your business, right? So what you can do in your sweet spot time is identify what are the tasks that, first of all, are your low-level tasks in your business? Which are the ones that you can outsource? Where can you create systems, again, going back to this idea of systems, where the process could be smoother, right? That you can either set up some type of maybe automated email sequence. Maybe you can do something with your social media, right? Where you can load up your social media for the week so that it's automated, right? The posting of it is automated. Maybe you can get support from a virtual assistant, from interns, from a place like Upwork, right? So there's a lot of different opportunities to get some support, but it starts with awareness of where you need support. It starts with getting really clear about, like what is it that you like doing? What don't you like doing? What could be outsourced? What couldn't? And all of that creative, deep work and reflection happens in the sweet spot time. So that's why often business owners wait way too long, or they end up outsourcing the wrong things because they haven't taken enough time in the sweet spot to really connect to the bigger vision, to what are the things that they can offload and what makes the most sense for their business. So yes, it's going to be a little bit, again, of an investment of your time, but one that is going to bring you so much ease and joy in your life because you're going to be getting those things off your plate that take you away from your unique brilliance.
A bug just flew up my nose.
Oh.
Awesome. Yes. I'm trying to find a shorter way to say point number 3. Okay, so point number 3, guys. And this, it's easy to talk about fires. It's easy to talk about low-level tasks. It's easy to talk about the sweet spot. And all of these things make a lot of sense. The one quadrant that really makes us look within is delights and distractions. So point number 3, as it's written, and go ahead and just write this in your own words if this is too much. If you're finding that you're spending a lot of time in those delights and distractions, right? You can't wait to just come home, kick your shoes off, and ignore everybody and just watch Netflix for 6 hours and fall asleep with your hands in your pants. If you are doing that, I mean, little tough, not in a gross way.
Oddly specific.
It's comfortable. Right in the waistband, Okay, just me neither. Don't worry about it. Okay. If you are spending a lot of time doing things like that, or however you like to spend your time, ask yourself with love, are you numbing out because you are not actually spending enough time in the sweet spot? Okay? I'll put it as it's written in the chat. Write it in your own words, whatever you need to do, right? So this is where we get to look within and say, am I feeling fulfilled? Am I doing the things that I need to and want to do to move my life and my business forward? If not, why not? Right? This could be simple things like, well, okay, our business is feeling very stagnant because we haven't had the time to write or create graphics or do creative work. And so let's create some sweet spot time to get some deep work done. That's one solution. Or, guys, am I not living in alignment? So I spend my time doing things that make me feel busy so I don't have to look within, be quiet with myself, and really figure out what it is that I truly desire, because that is too painful. Too much would have to change for me to feel that good. So I'm going to just hide here, staying busy, delights and distractions, ignoring everybody in my life, because that is easier. Okay? That it is a more introspective process that takes courage. So if this is a place that you find yourself sitting in a little bit too much, and we all know deep inside, and again, no judgment. Yes, I have spent, just full disclosure, the new update on the iPhones allows you to track your screen time. And then every week it'll send you a notification and it gives you a report of where you spent your time on your phone. I did not know. I am an Instagram troll. I'll just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. And sometimes I watch stories and then I put the phone down and the stories just kind of play like Netflix. And I spent 4 hours total on Instagram last week. Do you guys have any idea how much content I could have created? How much outside nature I could have enjoyed in 4 hours in a week. That is so ridiculous. So my question to myself is, why do I go to Instagram? Why is that my go-to when I feel like I need to do something with my hands, when I have that quiet time? Why don't I go outside? What is that? Right? I don't like admitting that. So like, take it or leave it. And I told myself that is not going to be the case anymore. It's just, it's stupid. But how would I know that without creating that awareness? So thank you, iPhone, for helping me to track my screen time. So if you guys have an Apple device that can be updated to the iOS 12 software, it's actually really cool. And I do spend my time in other things too. It's not just Instagram, but like, so that's really what this is about. Lower right quadrant, delights and distractions. How much time are you spending there? And what is that telling you about the way that you're living your life?
Love it. Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. We tend to seek out joy, and what can happen is when we bring the attention to this, and when we recognize when we're like trying to either numb out or like soothe ourselves through things without intention, right? It's like there wasn't an intention around that, right? So then what happens is when you move it into the sweet spot, all of a sudden you're indulging in things with intention, and it's such a different experience. It's so much more fulfilling. You're going then on Instagram because you're choosing to opt in. You're choosing this as a joyous activity. And so again, this is so much about awareness and intention, because inherently there's nothing wrong with any of these activities, right? There's no label good or bad. It's just about the intention we bring to it and how we feel after. And so it releases so much of the needless guilt or shame or whatever it may be that we might have around these things when we move it into something that we're doing because we choose to, not because we just feel this like burnout sensation that leads us to numbing out. So awesome. Okay, so moving on to our final point here. And again, just to remind you of the name of this training is all about guarding your time like a boss, right? So you now have this way that you can look at the way that you're spending your time. You have this new intention that you want to bring to creating more time in the sweet spot. And we want to leave you with a little bit of support in how to set up some boundaries so that you can generate more sweet time. Because everything that we talked about today, it's going to come from, you can't create more sweet time without first creating sweet spot time, right? So how are you going to create sweet spot time before you feel like you're ready to create it, if that makes sense? Pua's cracking up. It's so, I have to know.
Sorry.
You know, somebody else is like laughing and you're like, what are you laughing
at? I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at, I don't know, everybody's being crazy. Jared's like, this makes me want to have a cake donut. And then she goes, oh shit, now I'm distracted and on my iPhone checking the update. And now I'm doing the update.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So so the point is that a lot of these things, in order to generate more sweet spot time in your life, you're going to need to first figure out how you're going to create how are you going to front load up some sweet spot time so that you can reduce the amount of time that you're spending in the fires, the low level tasks, and your delights and distractions. So this is going to start with you setting some boundaries and going to your calendar right now, looking over, we're almost at the end of September here. You're going to look over not just the next week, but the next month, and block out some sweet spot time and guard that time like they are, appointments with the freaking most important person in the world, which they are, right? So really, you're going to just protect those with everything. And so this is point number 4, and this is going to be like the ultimate hack. I feel like if you take nothing else away from this entire 5-day training, this would be a really, really huge improvement and in the quality of your life. And that is one of the most effective ways for increasing your productivity and increasing your time in the sweet spot is by learning the badass art of saying no. Okay, so one of the most effective ways for increasing your productivity is learning the badass art of saying no. So this is all about boundaries. And it is an art. We call this a badass art because Pooh and I have described ourselves before as like recovering people pleasers, right? Where our first impulse before would be like, okay, sure, because we want to help, we want to serve. And all of you in here, you are listening to this, you guys are badass, heart-led entrepreneurs. And you have such hearts of gold. You're so service oriented. And yet because of that, we have to be even more careful about our boundaries, right? We have to make sure that we come up with, and it helps to like come up with a little bit of a script to buy ourselves a little bit of time to reflect and check in to make sure that this is in alignment with our big vision. And in this case, in alignment with our goal to create more sweet spot time in our life that's going to, in turn, increase our productivity, our time, our energy, and overall quality of life. So the badass art of saying no, right? Again, have that script at the ready where you can say something like, wow, that sounds amazing. Let me get back to you within 24 hours, if that helps you, to give them a time frame, and then check in and really take that time to look at your calendar. And if you can commit to this, do not schedule over your sweet spot time, right? So don't say like, okay, I mean, I know I was doing this thing and I was going to say no, but I do have this block of time, even though I blocked it out for myself. If you can, even for just 1 month, challenge yourself to really prioritize your sweet spot time, like it is the most precious thing in your life. Do it as an experiment and see how the quality of your life transforms. See how much time and energy you can create for the rest of your year, your life, and let us know how it goes because we want to hear.
Here's another tip about saying no. So I am like a toddler. I like to be home and in bed by like 7:30, 8 o'clock. Say what you will, it's my truth. And I like to wake up at like 4. And everybody thinks it's crazy. So when someone asks me, what are you doing on Friday evening? I'm like, and it's 10 a.m. on Wednesday. I'm like, feeling good. I'm like, nothing. That sounds amazing. You want to get together at 8 p.m.? Awesome. I'll be there. And then Friday evening at 6 o'clock, I'm just like, God, why did I say yes to this? So also, as you track your time and energy, also start to understand your energy levels throughout the day so that you can give an accurate RSVP. So like now when somebody asks if I want to do something in the evening, I'll tell them, I'm like, if you can get me out of the house before 6 o'clock, there's a good chance I'll stay out with you. If I have to start something at 8:30, I'm not going to be there. I will be asleep. So just know yourself. And it's so freeing. Instead of being like, yeah, okay, I'll go. And then you're like, oh God, I'm going to make sure I have to take a nap or like, right. And like, yes, wow. Like these are like adult problems. I understand the judgment that might be coming to me and I don't care because this is who I am. So I encourage you guys to get really clear about who you are and clear about what is actually important to you, right? That's the whole thing. This decision matrix prioritizes things that are important, and the urgency, you can slide things back and forth, right? If something feels urgent, find a way to make that less urgent so that it either doesn't have to be done by you or that you can do it when you have that sweet spot time. But the important things need to be your non-negotiables. That sweet spot time is non-negotiable. That is yours. Okay?
Yay. What did you guys think of this training? I love it. It was so fun. Okay. We got a winner to pick. You guys killed it with your homework. You know what I loved about the homework that we had? And remember, just to refresh everyone's memory, it was all about writing down, sharing 3 inspired action steps that people were going to take in order to create more time and energy or manage their energy in their life. And they were so good. I was like, we have to maybe we should compile them all into a list as like ideas for everybody because they inspired us. So good job. We have all your names for those of you that entered and got your homework posted in the homework thread. So we're going to pick the name for the $20 Amazon card. I'm getting it. And then we'll let you know what your homework is for tomorrow. Okay.
Should I do this?
Yes.
Someone sent me a screenshot and they were like, I couldn't stop laughing when you did your drum roll on your bike.
Here we go. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay. Yara. Yay. You know what? This really excites me because I just was reading her homework and she said that one of her inspired action steps was that she was going to make sure, no matter how late it was, that she was going to get her homework in. And look, she did it. And then she won. Wow. I love it. Good job, Kay. All right, Kay, we are excited for you. Okay, so now your homework. If you are excited to guard your time like a boss and win and to be entered to win a $25 iTunes card, then your homework, when you see the day 3 homework thread in the group, is to share 3 inspired action steps that you will take to guard your time like a boss. Okay, to guard your time. So yesterday was about managing your energy. Today is about guarding your time. So this is about boundaries. This is about that beautiful badass art of saying no. Yeah. Awesome.
I can't.
Oh my goodness. This is so fun.
Everybody's, it's just,
I can see her just like, she's just like deep in the comments right now. I can see her face. So let's see. So a couple other things just keep in mind. Definitely, if you're listening to this on the podcast, if you want to jump in and join our badass tribe here, you can go to bledigital.com/tribe. If you're listening to this, screenshot yourself, screenshot yourself, listening to this episode, wherever you listen to it on your phone, and post a story. Let us know. Send us a DM and let us know how it's going for you. And if you have any questions, again, we want to really be able to support you and answer any questions as you go through this challenge. Let us know how it's going and what's working for you, what's not. And we can't wait to hear from you. And we will be back tomorrow with day 4. And I'm so excited for day 4. So day 4 is all about creating habits for productivity and badassery. Creating habits. I love habits. All right. Are we ready?
Yeah.
To wrap this puppy up?
Yes.
I'm like, help me out here. I'm like swimming out here. Throw me a line.
I'm sweating too. But maybe not for the same reason.
I'm sitting on ice packs today. Is that too much of a share? Well, guys, look. I'm sitting on ice packs. I created
an ice pack under each of my armpits.
Listen, yesterday I created a system to avoid the fire. Okay, this is my system. I also have this little like frozen towel. I feel like I'm from the South. I'm like patting myself down. I have a little spray bottle that I've been keeping to mist myself. Systems, baby.
She's what to do. I'm what not to do. You want to feel how wet my shirt is right now?
Oh, that's a no.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're wrapping it up. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. I always wanted to say that.